Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another one of these conversations that just gives us a chance to explore a little bit of what's going on in different aspects of the life and the ministry and the mission of MIE. And it's great to be joined today with some members of our evangelism team, Dawn and Tracey and Liz. Thank you so much for taking some time out just to catch up and have a bit of a chat about what's going on in terms of evangelism. Big part of our life at MIE, and it seems like ages ago, but it was only a few weeks ago we were celebrating Christmas. And like historically, we often looked at Christmas as one of the big opportunities that we have for doing outreach, and a lot of new people coming in through the church for carol service and stuff. Obviously, with COVID and lockdown, that's all looked very different at the end of last year. But Tracey, can you just get us up to speed a little bit with what was going on over Christmas and some of the kind of the aftermath of that?
Yeah. So we decided this year was really a vital year to reach out to our parish and our communities. So we sent out, I think it was 8,500 cards, telling everybody about Jesus Christ, telling everybody about our church, and just really showing God's love in that way. Because we couldn't, physically have so many people in the building, but we just wanted to tell people that we are still around, and we really wanted to care for them and to be telling them the good news at Christmas. On top of that, we also produced some wonderful knitted angels. Dawn, would you like to tell us about the knitted angels?
Yeah, so well, we had an idea about knitting angels. So we do have a little knitting group that meets occasionally, but actually loads of people got on board with knitting angels. So I think I had about 200 in my house at one point. But the idea was that we asked people in our congregations to take an angel and to pass it on to somebody that really needed to know about God's love at Christmas. So the idea was that it was an easy way really to contact your non-Christian members of your family or friends with just a little message. And so we had the angels, and it had a Bible verse on it, which were the angels actually when they came and spoke about peace on earth. And we did have a little bit of feedback from various people who said, that just happened to arrive at their house at the right time. And somebody spoke to me and said, they looked at the verse and it said, "Fear not." And it was just a time when they were feeling particularly fearful. So it happened at the right time for them. And it was just an easy, simple way really that members of the congregation can get involved with a little bit of sharing the message of Christmas. So yeah,
it just gives you a little opportunity to talk and explain about what this is all about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah with a way in of an angel. Yeah.
And we're taking a similar idea and rolling it out over the next sort of few days, aren't we?
Yes, we are. So obviously we're recording this just before Valentine's Day, so we've been knitting or sewing. Some people have been sewing hearts, and the idea is that we're actually going to go and put them up outside the churches. We're going to tie them to a tree at the end of St Andrew's Drive, and we're going to tie them to the railings at St John's. And the idea is that we encourage people through the Facebook page, social media, and through our contacts to say, well, when you're out on your daily exercise, which we're allowed to have at a moment, go and pick up a heart. And again, I don't know if you can see that, but it has a message. It has a Bible verse from 1 John chapter 4. This is how we know about God's love. So yeah, we're encouraging people to do that too. Another just really simple way of spreading the message. Yeah.
Good, because I think the tendency is to think that during lockdown everything's had to close down, but actually it's good to know that there's still plenty of stuff going on, and we've actually been able to start some new stuff up during lockdown as well. We're working with some other churches in Ipswich to get a CAP centre re-established in Ipswich. Obviously we've been running the pop-up shop. We had a chat with Marilyn about that a few weeks ago. We're doing the fundraising stuff over on Bixley Farm for Noah and his family, and quite a lot of obviously going on around social media as well. Liz, you've been driving some stuff on the Facebook page. What's been going on there?
Yeah, it started during the first lockdown. Rob was the one who really sort of got it up and running to start with, having a live feed at 3 o'clock for people to be just giving some thoughts and ideas, perhaps a Bible passage, praying for people. And it really just took off. It was obviously, it hit a need. And when the lockdown finished, we wanted to carry that on somehow. There was still quite a lot of people who were saying, yeah, we want this to be carrying on. So we took it down to doing it twice a week, and we're now on to once weekly. And we're now getting to the stage where we're able to get people who are keen to join us and to be doing some kind of thought based on some kind of Bible passage. So we've had people talking about mental health. We've had people talking about different kind of paintings. I've been doing some stuff with some Christian literature, Pilgrim's Progress and Narnia, and the feedback has just been absolutely brilliant.
Excellent.
People are sharing it with their friends and family, so it's getting quite a wide audience, and we're getting people who are Christians within the church are really enjoying it and feeling that it's a huge encouragement, but also they're being able to share it with their non-Christian friends and getting the message of Jesus out there as well. So that's really encouraging.
Yeah, and actually that's really important. It's passing it on, and again, it's just putting something in somebody's hands that says, look, you know, why don't you just share this with somebody who you know who's not a Christian? It might not come to anything. Alternatively, it might actually start a conversation, or at least let people know that you're a Christian, so that when they do want to have that conversation, they know who to talk to. So it's kind of a social media version of the angels and the hearts. It's just giving you an opportunity to start the conversation, or at least offer to. Yeah. I mean, I think that's just something that we're wanting to keep encouraging people in. It's easy, I think, to look at the church sort of centrally and go, okay, the church is doing some stuff, but actually it's about trying to say, well, we are the church and we already have all these relationships with people. We don't need to build new ones or create new projects. Actually, it's about us just demonstrating and declaring God's love in Christ with the people who we know and in the circumstances and the situations of our own lives. So little things like that, I think, are really helpful for people. So thank you. I mean, what else is going on? So we've got some new stuff up and running. There's some other big stuff, things like Alpha courses and Messy Church that are huge. Well, they were huge sort of milestones for us, almost month by month throughout the year, and big amounts of effort. Dinner for 100 people and stuff like that. Obviously we're not able to run any of those things. We're not able to get people to come for a meal and have an Alpha course or a Messy Church or something, but we have been able to sort of rework that a little bit for lockdown. Tracey, do you want to talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, so back in the first lockdown, we took Alpha online. So it was a first for Alpha, but also a first for MIE. So we took it online, used Zoom, and found that, with some slight adaptations and, slight changes, that we could still have those sort of meaningful conversations and those sort of first sort of starting points about what it is to become a Christian and how God changes our lives and transforms us. From that, the group, majority of that group have gone on and are now they continued on with Christianity Explored and now on to Discipleship Explored. Wow. And that continues to meet weekly on Zoom, which has just been fantastic. And if we'd have just closed the door, those people wouldn't have been having that experience of God. So it's just amazing that those relationships have been blossoming, and God's really working at MIE, and so that's just brilliant. So we've continued offering Alpha and Christianity Explored, and continue to do so. And we've got Christianity Explored running weekly as well, and we're just going that much deeper again this term, and digging into the Bible, which is good news.
Fantastic. And talking of Christianity Explored, we've got Rico coming via Zoom, virtually coming to do some work with us at MIE. Do you want to just quickly flag that up for us?
Saturday, 20th of February, all the details on the website. Should be sending out the Zoom code this week. So anyone who's receives the MailChimp newsletters will receive that. But yeah, still timings to be confirmed, but it'll be really worth coming into that. And on that, Rico was one of the writers of the Word One-to-One material, which we've also been exploring. And that again has been a great way of those relationship building ways of approaching the gospel, because that really is what it says on the tin, studying the Bible one-to-one with a friend. And you know, we've seen of stories people doing it on WhatsApp, on Zoom, on daily walks, and so that, you know, those ways of, you know, reaching out, and you know, those relationships that we've managed to have time for in lockdown and go deeper have been really fruitful times of using our time in lockdown to God's glory. And
we were chatting before we started recording. We were just having a bit of a chat about that, Dawn, and you were saying how actually being less busy with church stuff almost had freed up time to actually talk to people about Jesus a bit more.
Yeah. So I particularly found, because you know, I'm used to rushing around everywhere all the time, and that's, you know, partly I enjoy that. But during lockdown, I've found that I've had time to actually speak to people on the phone, and I've got a couple of friends in particular who I've made regular time to have a phone conversation with. And I have found, I think I was saying partly because of the situation we're in with COVID, they've got more questions that they want to talk about, but partly also I feel it's because I've been able to make the time to talk to, properly spend time talking to them. So yeah, I feel like that's been a really good evangelistic opportunity on a one-to-one basis, which perhaps I wouldn't have had if you hadn't have been in this situation. So yeah,
and probably quite an important lesson for us to take forward as and when lockdown is ever kind of eased or lifted. Yeah,
I'm really thinking that's something I must really think about, rather than rushing straight back into my busy rushing around life.
And I think that's one of the emphases that's coming up in our Lent course this year, which we'll be launching in the Ash Wednesday service next week. Mission Shaped Living, written by a guy called John McGinley, which has just got this I think a really helpful sort of dynamic to it, which is, it's not about, okay, you know, what can the church do in terms of organizing some big event or project, but it's got a really strong sense of our being sent into our lives by Jesus to represent Jesus and to speak to people about Jesus, and just kind of thinking through, how do we talk about and share Christ in the relationships, in the friendships that we actually already have in life, and taking the time and to do that and to invest in those relationships so that they become arenas in which we can share Christ and offer to pray with people, and where that's kind of a normal, natural thing to do, because the quality of relationship is there to allow that to happen. I mean, Tracey, you're going to be leading us through the Lent course this year. Is there anything you want to quickly say about that?
No, I think just that, you know, when Jesus was with his friends, his disciples, as they were called, he was, you know, leaving them with the message of go out and share this good news. And if we're following that we've been developing our relationships with our friends, and I think this Lent time will help us think about how we can pray for those people that are close to our heart, who would dearly love come to Jesus, and give us some real practical ways, and also some testimonies and some stories of people who know that God has transformed their lives, to encourage us also. So yeah, it would be really good. Tuesday evenings after Ash Wednesday.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that. And I think, you know, one of the things again about it is it's not kind of coming with a prescriptive model. It's inviting us to work out how we can do mission and evangelism based on who we are and who God has gifted us to be and created us to be, and the kind of friendships and networks that we're a part of. I was thinking about it the other day, and you get somebody like Matthew in the Gospels who's called by Jesus, and he throws a dinner party, right, and invites all his mates and Jesus, and basically says, like, I'm not in a position yet to talk about this, but if I can get people in a room with Jesus, that's all that needs to happen. And it's just you sort of think about it, you think, yeah, actually it's just a guy who's just doing what he's good at doing. He's good at throwing parties, so he throws a party and uses that evangelistically. And I think if we can see stuff like that coming out of the Mission Shaped Living course over Lent, that would be really, really exciting. Yeah, I mean, obviously when lockdown's over and things like having a party becomes like a live option again.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly as we bring this to a close, thinking about as and when lockdown is over, what's evangelism at MIE going to look like when we enter that hallowed experience of kind of post-lockdown life?
Well, we hadn't planned to mention this, but Tracey, me and Tracey have almost completed training to be running group leaders, and I think that fits in with what we're saying about, going to people where we are and what we're used to doing. So we're hoping to start a running group into which we can invite friends and contacts. Fantastic. And that'd be another thing.
It'd be good. I mean, the temptation is to think that everything's just going to go back to the way it was before, but I think we're trying to have really quite a robust conversation around we can't do everything that we were doing before and all the new stuff that we've been developing during lockdown and start new things like running groups and stuff like that as well. That actually we're going to need to think really carefully about what we are able to sustain and what we're able to do and how things are going to look after lockdown's over. Because actually some of the stuff we've been doing it online actually has worked better than doing it kind of in person, as it were. And so maybe even when lockdown's over, we'll keep doing some stuff online as well. Yeah. All right, guys, listen, thank you. Really appreciate you taking the time on this. It's just good to flag up what's going on. And if people want to get involved, they can just email you at where?
Tracey@mie.org.uk.
Fantastic. It's that easy. It's that easy. All right. Otherwise, looking forward to seeing everybody at the Lent course starting over the next couple of weeks. Brilliant. All right. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.